Ladies and gentlemen, this man has no MMA experience at all, but he is a live television broadcast professional.
Eric Crouch tonight wins the Heisman Trophy.
He stands 6'4", weighed in 260 pounds, with a Millard South High School basketball record of 41 wins, only 4 defeats. That includes hitting the game-winning shot in the 1989 Class A state championship game.
It was Matt Kelly with the winning basket for Millard South.
Broadcasting out of Sticky Paw Studios from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Omaha, Nebraska. Here is the Vanilla Gorilla, Matt Kelly.
Hey everybody, welcome inside the Sticky Paw Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am honored to be joined by Nikki Fargas, the president of the Las Vegas Aces. Two-time defending WNBA champs. Nikki, thank you for coming in. We've gotten to know each other a little bit. We see each other at the games. You're always, gracious to come over and we say hi to each other and stuff. But thank you for coming in and sitting down with me.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, anytime we can talk Aces, talk about what we're doing, not only on the basketball court, but in the community. For sure. But appreciate you just recognizing the importance of supporting women. Yeah. And every time I get to see you, you always have this big smile on your face and there's a joy there. And so just really love the fact that we're able to talk today and sit down.
And I'll be honest with you, like I was a high school basketball player. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I showed you some video a little bit, and we'll reference that in a bit. But I was not. I haven't always been a WNBA fan. But 3 years ago, getting a chance to work the games. Yes. And then I was actually in Connecticut when you guys capped off your first championship, shooting it for the broadcast. But being able to see that. And see the support you get, what it's like at the games. I'm not an NBA fan at all. I could care less about those guys. I'm being honest with you. But you guys, I really have grown to really love watching you guys, and not just you, but the league, right? But the teams that come in, you have the best of the best, and. But yeah, it's been awesome to see that. And I even told Mark Davis that when I saw him one time. I was like, I was not a WNBA fan, but I am now. So it's awesome to have you here. Nikki, you've had an amazing career in basketball, right? You were born in Tennessee. You played for Pat Summitt with the Volunteers. You won a national championship. Then you coached and were on her staff for 2 national championships. Went to UCLA as a head coach, and then LSU, second winningest coach in LSU history. And then in 2021, you had the opportunity to come to Las Vegas. Yes. But let's just talk about just your love of basketball, what your career has been like from your high school days and, to where you are now. So how did it start for you? And was basketball always your first love?
Yeah, basketball has always been my first love. I started playing through the local Boys and Girls Club. I grew up in a little small town of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and when you're trying to find things to do for your kids that are not expensive, basketball is definitely that. But being a part of the Boys and Girls Club taught us so many other things than playing the game. I mean, it taught us about friendship and being there for each other, and just what sport brings to your family is on Saturdays everybody comes and everybody's watching you and the support that you have. So fast forward. Just got really good at it and spent a lot of time at our local civic center and just played. You just gotta practice. And so and then I was growing pretty fast. Right. So I was like one of the tallest kids in the classroom, and so there was an expectation there too. You're tall, so you should play basketball. You must play basketball, And I was fortunate though because with the Boys and Girls Club they asked for volunteers, and so when I got to the 5th grade, my mom volunteered. So my mom actually coached me 5th and 6th grade, and then you go off to junior high. Now you're playing with your junior high team, and my junior high coach Lynn Berkey, he was just very aggressive, like in your face, very passionate, and So when I got to Tennessee, it was easy. Pat was an easy one. But you talk about you playing in high school, and we're around the same age, not dating ourselves.
I was 89. You were 88.
88.
You won a state title in 88
yes,
in Tennessee
we did.
as well.
Yes, we did. So Oak Ridge High School, Lady Wildcats, we won a title in 88.
That's awesome.
Was fortunate to be able to play for the legendary Pat Summitt, so got a college degree, University of Tennessee, and we won a title my freshman year.
Wow.
And at that point, you're like, what else? What else can you do?
what do you do for an encore, right, for 3 more years?
Yes, and so we were still competitive but didn't win again. And then I got into coaching. And again, this round basketball has just guided me every step of the way. I've met a lot of unbelievable people. It's afforded me a great education, traveled the world. And so I decided to go to the coaching.
Did you, when you were playing for Pat, right?
Yes.
When she recruited you, did you know at that time that how amazing she was and that you were playing for a legendary coach? I mean,
no, absolutely not. I thought she was crazy.
Yeah?
I thought,
I love it.
I mean, the way that we trained was literally like militant style. I mean, we would be outside running 7/400s. We would run 3-mile runs. I go, this is not basketball. I did not sign up for track and field.
Right.
But fast forward and you understand why. Because we trained harder than anyone. We were up at the crack of dawn. There were times we were out there with ROTC.
Wow.
So our training was just at another level, and the discipline that she instilled in us, and we lived by a code of conduct, if you will, the definite dozen. And it talked about responsibility, being honest, being loyal, making hard work your passion, change is a must. You have to have great leaders and eager followers. That's what we live by. And she was just so ahead of the game in growing the game and so instrumental in why we are where we are today as not just women's basketball, but women's sports.
Do you think, had it been 20, 30 years later, do you think Pat would be along the same lines as a Becky Hammon that you have the privilege of having as your head coach and her having helped coach the San Antonio Spurs, been an assistant there? Could you have seen Pat maybe moving into being on the WNBA side and maybe just having that kind of career as well, or did you always just see her in the college game?
I saw her in the college game, but she had a lot of other opportunities to go coach on the men's side. And
just never took them.
Just never took them. And she also did do some work with the Washington Mystics as a consultant. So she was trying to help grow the W. But college women's basketball is where her true passion lies. And she was not only instrumental for us, but for other women's sports.
Sure.
And even the other male sports. And so when you had, top football recruits coming in, they wanted to meet Pat Summitt. So she really bridged that gap and created allyship between men and women supporting each other, because I remember when Bruce Pearl was the head coach at Tennessee, and he came to one of our games, big game, and he came shirtless. He and three of his players. And so here's the head coach of Tennessee men's basketball, and he's got a V on his chest, and and then the other guys have OLS. And it just got all this national attention. And so then Pat being Pat and being competitive, we got to one-up him. What are we going to do? And we kind of thought about, okay, they have a big game coming. We came out in cheerleading outfits. So it was Pat Summitt and then the 3 assistant coaches, myself, Holly, and Dean. We practiced this one little pyramid that we performed towards the end. She's got the microphone, and before we came out, the cheerleaders had their pom-poms, so they kind of guarded us so no one could see. So we came out, pom-poms are going, and then boom, there's Pat with the microphone, started singing Rocky Top.
And the place
erupted.
Ain't no smoggy.
Let's listen in.
No Rocky Top. Ain't no telephone bills.
And at that time, Dickie Vitale was covering the game. They didn't even go to break. They stayed on it. And so it was pretty impressive to see her outside of this, the stern look on the sidelines.
Who is this lady,
I know.
right?
I couldn't believe that she did it, but it was awesome. It was just awesome for college basketball.
What did she do? I'm in Matt. Early on, when you were playing for her, did you say, "Hey, I want to be a coach someday"? Or
no, absolutely not.
So how did that happen?
I think I fought it because I didn't want to be like them.
You're like, they're
right? Crazy. Look at this lot. That's all they did was eat and sleep basketball and breathe basketball, and I felt like it was just going to take so much of my time. And I was like, this is not the life I want. And so I dabbled in some broadcasting. Yeah. And then doing the broadcasting, I would be sitting at practices and I go, wow, you know what? I think I need to be more hands-on. I think I can be something more than just sitting over here behind, the desk and calling the game. I need to be in the trenches with these student athletes.
So you didn't want to just be analyzing. You wanted to be coaching and bringing along young ladies.
Yes. I felt I was being pulled into that.
So, isn't that crazy to think, though? What if you hadn't had that broadcasting opportunity? You probably would never have known that you were drawn that way or built that way, right?
Yeah. But I knew I was going to be around basketball, but I didn't know what capacity.
Yeah.
Yes, I always stayed around it, even after I graduated. I always wanted to, I still volunteered my time at camps and clinics and things like that. But it was definitely pulling at me.
Well, just a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think my buddy Darinoka with the SEC Network, you guys were doing a game. He texted me. I'm literally shooting a Golden Knights game. I'm on the glass, and I'm getting texts from my buddy Dari, who was we worked together in Lincoln, Nebraska, many years ago.
Yeah.
How well do you know Nikki Fargas? And I'm like, well, I said, we always say hi to each other. I don't know if she would know my name, but so I sent a picture of me with the Pepper Pursley young lady and a couple. And so like 5 minutes later, Dari sends back a picture of you and him, and she's like, Nikki said she loves you, and she wanted me to take a picture and send it back to you. So I was like, oh, awesome. I was like, just a reminder that I wanted to come on my podcast. So Dari's a great guy. So do you still enjoy doing the broadcast stuff? I mean,
I do.
I'm sure your time is probably pretty limited, but.
Yeah, I've been a basketball coach and head coach for almost 25 years. Yeah. And so it never leaves you. Like, I can't watch a game and just enjoy it. I'm like analyzing it. I'm trying to see what play action they're running, because you can that correlation can carry over in every aspect of your life. Yeah. It could carry over in business transactions. It can carry over in family, because it's about people coming together for one common goal, and it doesn't matter who takes the shot. Give credit where credit is due. There's a lot of life lessons that you can learn in sports, and so I have found that doing that also allows me to see some of the best players that are coming up. Well, I was just going to say, as the president of the Aces, right, two-time defending WNBA champs, you have a front row seat, right? I do.
And I know that, on the broadcast side, you have an opportunity to get into meetings with the coaches pregame and maybe even talk to some of the players. So real quick, Caitlin.
I know. Caitlin Clark is.
I mean, come on. Ridiculous.
Her range is just unbelievable, but the other aspect of her game is just spot on. Her ability to make other people look good. Mm-hmm. And that is a sign of greatness.
Regularly, right?
Yes.
Not just here and there. But
she's getting triple doubles. Yeah. Not only is she scoring the basketball, but she's assisting and she's rebounding. Yeah. And so when you have a rebounding guard, obviously your transition game looks a whole lot faster. Sure. The play action where players can get out, rim run, or get to the corners for your three-point shots to give her a chance to break down and create for not only herself, for you. That's a player that knows how to play this game at an elite level. We're happy and sad, but we're happy that she's coming out to the W. Sad because we don't want to play her.
And pretty soon she's going to be on this court, right, at Michelob Arena, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, come on.
Yeah, but we're excited about what this means for the next generation of stars that come through.
And you also have Inescu, and you've got Paige Beckers probably that's going to be there pretty soon, and you got Juju Watkins at USC.
Angel Reese, he hasn't announced that she was coming out. Right. Cameron Brink announced from Stanford. You got Rakia Jackson, Tennessee. Let's go, Lady Vols. So there's some talent.
It's a double-edged sword, though, right? Because you win the championship, but that means that you pick last,
Yes.
So how do you, as the president, and then how much say do you have, in who you guys draft? Is it saying, hey, Becky, how much collaboration is there on all that?
So there's collaboration, just because I've got different relationships with some of these players. Some of them I've recruited. Some of them I've played against and scouted. I've got great relationships with a lot of the coaches. So you also want to know who they are as a person. So being able to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, tell me about, such and such. But
you guys are huge character people, right? Like
yes,
you can be a great player, but if you don't fit in that locker room, if you don't fit in that practice facility on a daily basis, they're probably not going to be here.
Yeah, if you want to get the court right, get the locker room right.
There you go.
Yeah, you have to have a culture that is, one, a winning culture, but a respect, a discipline. It's got to be a culture that's built on hard work, togetherness, having fun when you need to, but loving each other in a way that there's a bond and a sisterhood that's pretty special. And then there's got to be a buy-in. And so to have Becky Hammond, lead the charge, if you will, and with her assistant coach, you got Charlene, you got Tyler, you got Natalie. It's really special to see how they bond with each other. But when you talk about, the draft, it's all hands on deck kind of mentality for us. So I'm sitting in the draft room, our general manager, assistant general manager, the coaching staff, Mr. Davis is in there, and he knows all the players too. Make no mistake about it. He'll ask you, oh, yes, oh, definitely. He's
not just the guy going, hey, we're going to get you this nice facility and all this. He's there.
Well, think about, this is Mark Davis. So UNLV women's basketball has been doing an amazing job year in and year out, winning the Mountain West. They just recently won the Mountain West, which gives them their automatic bid to the NCAA tournament in Nebraska. Last year they played Arizona. Okay. So Mark goes, I'm going to Arizona. And I don't know why. I'm not thinking. He goes, yeah, I'm going to go over for the first round game with UNLV in Arizona. And I go, that is awesome. So he not only supports the Aces, obviously, but it's UNLV. It's us. It's our community that he 100% gets behind.
How amazing has your fan support been? And that's really, I'll be honest with you, that's when I'm at the games, right? I'm shooting you. I'm sitting underneath the hoop. I mean, front row seat, all that stuff. Been run over a couple of times by a few of your players, and but just the support. I mean, from pregame to the end of the game, those fans. You want to talk about into it. They are into it.
Yes. We've done something that's never been done in the WNBA. The history of the WNBA is that we've sold out all our season ticket memberships.
Awesome. I was going to bring that up.
Yes.
I'm glad you did, yeah.
So over 8,500. And
first team to ever do that.
First team to ever do that. But that is the Las Vegas community. That's the fans saying, we believe in what you're doing. We are excited to come here and support you. I hope that they enjoy every single moment, even when it's those games you're like, what are we doing? We're throwing the ball away way too much. But it's about this community. And the community, if you go to a game and it's everyone. It's all walks of life. It's all demographics, and the pricing structure of the building also allows for us to be able to attract families of 4, or if you got 6.
All the young girls getting autographs before and after the games, and
giving
Kelsey
them access.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Interacting with them. That's what I see, because, we're down there and I'm seeing it. Sometimes we'll shoot it, hey, Kelsey's signing a shirt, or, Asia's doing whatever, or whoever across the board. But and even after the games, the young girls are coming up to them. They're taking the time with the young ladies, all that kind of stuff. But the support has been amazing. You got some of the, the entertainers and the other athletes in town. You have a young lady that's married to a professional football player in Kelsey, and Darren Waller and all that. Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady's a big Kelsey Plum fan. Sent her like a swag package or whatever, and she lost her mind. I saw on social media. So all that stuff's been so fun to watch. Could you have ever imagined, or is this what you imagined when you left LSU and said, hey, I'm going to take this opportunity, give up, my years in the coaching ranks? What went into that, and could you have ever imagined that this would, that the Aces would be where they're at right now?
Yes, I think that's one of the reasons why I came here, was because of Mark's vision. And it started with the facility, giving not only the Aces staff, our staff is there at the headquarters, but giving these players a place that they can call home. Candace Parker said it, 17 years in the league, going into 17, and Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever play the game. she said, I never had my own locker.
Right.
And so now these players are staying in market. They're in the community. They're here year round. That's important to us as a franchise, to give them a chance to not miss any more birthdays or special holidays and things like that. And to have a place where they can go and train and recover and rehab. Because if you think about the cadence of a women's basketball player, so an Asia Wilson, for example, played all through high school, played AAU basketball, or played AAU basketball and played for USA, USAB. So she's going year round. So that's, sophomore, junior, senior. Then you graduate from high school, then you're immediately enrolled into college. And during college, your freshman year, going into your freshman year, you're in summer school. So you're back training, back getting ready. Then you play your whole season. Then you're back in summer school, or you're playing for USA basketball, and you do that for four more years. That's year-round basketball. Then some players graduate. Some players have to wait to graduate and walk because the WNBA season is here. So some players are drafted who have not yet to graduate. It depends on.
And then they're
right into the WNBA season. And then as soon as the WNBA season is over with, there are players who have contractual agreements for their overseas play to literally be on the plane within 48 hours. So from October all the way back to training camp, April, May, they're again year-round. So the wear and tear that they're enduring and, the traveling abroad and the traveling commercially here in the States, we need to figure out how we can give them some type of break. And we're constantly talking about those challenges.
Right.
And Mark Davis has been in the forefront of those conversations. And that's something that we're passionate about, and we'll continue to talk about. We've got some of the best players in the world in the WNBA. And we need to make sure that they're treated like the best players in the world. Which,
again, you started to talk about that practice facility that you have. You're the only team in the WNBA to have their own practice facility, and it's right next to the Las Vegas Raiders headquarters. Was that something that was talked about before you took the job, or was that was something that you knew was going to happen and another reason?
Well, Mark had already shared with me that they had already broke ground.
Gotcha.
And so I was very excited about that because, when you come from college athletics and, most of your Power 5 schools, you have a practice facility. There's
and a lot
resources.
Of them are pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh, they are. And you have those resources. Yeah. And so for Mark to say, look, we're going to give you those same resources that you had in college, we're going to now do it at the professional level. But it's also made other teams and other franchises step up and say, look, Seattle broke ground. They're building a new facility. Sure. And then you've got Phoenix and New York. So now other franchises are saying, look, we've got to do the same and provide the same because it does help in free agency. Again, we talk about the cadence of these women, and they want to be able to find somewhere where they can rehab and recover and work out. And I felt as though that was something that appealed to Candace Parker and also Alicia Clark.
Yeah. And you helped recruit Candace Parker to Tennessee. I mean, I watched an interview recently, forget who it was with, another blonde-haired lady that was doing the interview, but there was that conversation about how Candace, and Candace, you said you gave her almost like a multiple choice thing.
Yes, I did.
You were kidding about that when she was going to college. Hey, these are what we can provide for you. Mm-hmm. These are the schools that, what schools can do all that. But,
yes.
So obviously you were a huge part in her coming here. Now, right, you've won two. You've won two in a row. How do you keep it going? And what does that look like? I mean, obviously keeping Becky Hammond and the core of the team with Kelsey and Chelsea and Asia and all them down the line. But how much is there more pressure on you now than there was before you won? I mean, I know you've won two and you can say we've won two, but now what do you do to keep that going?
Well, let me first give a shout out to Layla Nicole for giving Candace, her mom, the go ahead and say, yes, thumbs up to the Aces, because I know that was a big part of the decision. So thank you, Layla. To me, pressure can be hit head on or canceled through preparation. And I truly believe that Becky and her staff, they do the best job in preparing the players for all different scenarios, whether we're down in the finals. Who would have ever thought that we would be down our point guard and our starting center, and then not having Candace Parker and not having Raquana Williams? Who would ever thought that we would have been able to win a second one?
Right.
And the belief of this team and the chemistry of the team is second. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. I mean, I've been around a lot of great teams, and that's what you have to have. Like that, the talent is only going to take you so far because it becomes an even playing field. I mean, they've got All-Americans, we got All-Americans. They got Olympians, we got Olympians. What's going to be the separator? And that's what's been the separator for us. So to have Kayla George, who really didn't play a lot for us this season, step into that role, and to see Alicia Clark swing from the sixth woman coming off the bench to now a starter, it all started back in training camp. And so the off season, that's where championships are won. And because we also have an owner that believes in, we want our coaches here year round. We want our coaches to be available for our players so that they don't have to go out and have another person that's not part of Becky's system coaching or teaching. And so we hired that way. And Tyler Marsh has done a phenomenal job in player development, Natalie Nakasi, and we got these two from the NBA. So not only did we snag Becky Hammond, but we got these two. So it also sends a message that, yes, the NBA is the NBA, but the WNBA can provide you just as much and more if you don't put us at, one above the other. Like game knows game. Yep. And our coaches, they are just as committed as they were coaching the male athletes in the NBA as they are female athletes. Sure. And if you talk to them, they probably tell you they like the female better.
Let me ask you, is this true or not? Do you feel like the WNBA players feel like they have to play harder, feel like that they have more to prove, feel like that, or maybe felt that in the past and maybe they've gotten to a certain level? But I just feel like when you watch these ladies out on the court, I watch some NBA games and you can tell guys they're going through the motions. I don't think I've ever seen that in the WNBA games that I've seen. So do you feel that these ladies, hey, we not only do we want to be champ, but we would just want to prove that we're just as good as the product's just as good as. Do you feel that at all?
I think they look at it as, how do I continue to compete within myself?
Okay.
To have Asia Wilson come back every single year, she's added something more to her game. So she's constantly, and all of them, they're constantly challenging themselves. I think where I see the difference is the work that the ladies and the women's and the WNBA, what we stand for outside of the arena. I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to be the voice against a lot of different barriers and stigmas. And they've done that, like when they had the Say Her Name campaign and we were in the Wubble. And they all stood together, unified, and they wanted to bring awareness. And they did it in a very tasteful way. Voting rights. They're standing behind things that help shape who we are as a country. Gender equity, pay equity. Like, these are all things that go on outside of sports. Sure. It's just part of the society that we live in. And I feel like they sometimes wear that badge a little bit more in fighting for social justice because that's who they are.
Right.
That's just who they are.
Well, but it also starts at the top, and I'd like to bring up, you've had a long history of doing things to on the breast cancer side of things. You did 3 years in a row. You did motorcycle trips from cross country. Yeah. I know you probably don't do those anymore, but has that always been something? It sounds like that's been something in your personal life that you've always stood for as well, and just bringing awareness to different things, and and for them to see that and start at the top with you. And I'm sure Becky and the other people.
Yeah, one of the things that we always talk about is how do we give back to the community that gives us so much? Mm-hmm. And one of the greatest gifts that you can give anybody is your time. And so to be able to take time out of my schedule and ride a Harley across the country, meeting a lot of different people, but bringing awareness, obviously raising money, because, cancer's affecting all women. I was very fortunate to serve on the KYAL Cancer Fund board. And in serving them, I wanted to figure out ways that I could also serve outside of just going and sitting in board meetings. And so Holly Warlick, she was the head coach at Tennessee, and I was head coach at UCLA. So we created our own foundation, Champions for a Cause. And that's what we did. We rode across the country on motorcycles. Yeah. And the first trip we took, we shipped our bikes to California and rode all the way, came through Vegas, Mojave Desert, 116 degrees on those motorcycles, and back to Tennessee. So we've been up to Niagara Falls. We've been all the way down to Key West. We've been through the Natchez Trace. We've been a little bit of everywhere. And the monies that we raise, we would make a contribution to the KYAL Cancer Fund and also UT Medical Center. So we wanted to be purposeful, but we also love riding. Right. And so what better way to spend your time is knowing that what we're doing is going to help someone. Sure. And this past year, 2 Lady Vols were lost their battle with cancer. Nikki McCrae was my teammate. We both went in to Tennessee together. And then I coached Tasha Butts, who was a longtime friend of mine. Both gone too soon. But I know that the work that we're doing, the constant, keeping it in the forefront, like we've got to beat cancer. And so we're continuing to do things with the ACEs. Obviously early detection is the key for women with breast cancer. So even having mobile mammography units in front of our ACEs headquarters for those who may not get scheduled for a mammogram, they can come there, working with other cancer units to bring more awareness and let's end the stigma around it, especially with the disenfranchised community. But you got as people, we've got to latch on to something, right? And so why not latch on to something that's going to help?
Final thing, it's crazy. Probably never would have imagined that you would be owned by the Raiders, the Davis family. Your husband played running back for the Raiders, Justin Fargas. Is that how awesome has that been to, you're not just in the Aces fold, you're in the Raiders fold as well with your husband's background and just, your guys' history with that.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to attend a few of the Raiders alumni weekends. And so I knew of Mark, from that, and I knew of all the Raider stories from my husband, but I got to see how they treated them. And they would, we were in Napa, and they would fly, the players and a +1 and just all expense paid trip. And we would have a intimate dinner with Mark and ownership. And I thought that was really special. So one of the first things that Mark charged me with, if you will, was to make sure we created an alumni initiative for the Las Vegas Aces. Sure. And so John Jiggy Maxwell, thank you, going back and trying to find as many former players starting in 1997. So anyone who played for, obviously, the Las Vegas Aces franchise, but Utah or San Antonio Stars, we were inviting you plus a guest, all expense paid trip to Vegas. Wow. So that's our owner. Yeah. So just carrying that tradition from the Raiders to the Aces, that's something that also drew me here. Sure. Because, Mark wanted to make sure that those who have paved the way, those who shoulders we are standing on today, that you got to have a moment where you thank them. And so once, out of all the weekends, there's one weekend that it's about the alums. And it gave them a chance to connect with teammates that they haven't seen in several years. Sure. And so now we're inviting them back. We're engaged with them. We're, when we come near them or to, a city near them and we're playing in market, we have alums reach out. We get them tickets. They go to the game. So it's been really neat to see this all come to fruition.
What do you see 5 years from now? Are you 8-time WNBA
Let's
champs,
go. Let's go.
7-time WNBA champs with, just more parades down the strip and everything. I mean, where do you see this franchise? Can this become, the WNBA dynasty?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
You got to have and set your eyes on the prize, and the prize is for us to build a dynasty here. And there's only been 2 teams that have won 3 or more consecutive world championships. So you had Houston Rockets in 1997; they won 4 in a row, and then immediately after them, you had the LA Sparks who won 3 in a row. So we're right there in the history books with winning 2 back to back, but. We're not saying, I'm going to say we're going to try to be greedy, but we would love.
You'll take them all.
We're going to take them all. We feel as though with the support that we have with this community, it is very difficult for someone to come into Mick Ultra and beat us.
Yeah,
that's number one, and then number 2, it's about the players. So we have some of the best players in the world. But we know that they're a little seasoned, if you will. So we're gonna, make sure that we give them all the proper medical attention that they need to play and compete at the highest level. But as you know, the name of the game is being healthy. Right. And then you got to have playmakers. I mean, you're a playmaker. You hit a buzzer beater to win a state championship.
Yeah, I was going to try to get that. I
know.
I showed you this a little earlier. So that's the game-winning shot. And we'll roll the video here. I did show it to you a little bit earlier, but we'll roll it in here real quick.
1-2-2 zone. The zone defense from Columbus. Ribble. Dale Ribble. It's in by Kelly. In by Kelly at the gun. And that's the end of the game. It was Matt Kelly with the winning basket for Millard South.
My senior year of high school, it was amazing. I pulled out my Millard South Indians jersey and stuff. I just didn't want you to think you were just sitting here with a camera guy. I wanted you to know that I could play some hoops.
You're a baller.
But you also talked about how scrawny I was, and I was 170, 6'4", 170. I haven't grown since 8th grade.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing that up.
But look at the fan support that you guys got there for high school, for a state championship.
You'll see the storming of the court and stuff. But it was crazy. Our team, every game we went to, there were times where they'd close the doors before the games even started because there were so many people. But that fan support, you're playing for that. You're playing for that Indian. You're playing for that Millard South on your chest, and you won one in '88 as well. With your high school as well. But I really appreciate having you come in, and it's been an honor to sit down with you, and I'll keep smiling at you at games. All right.
Sounds good.
Nikki, thank you very much. And best of luck in your three-peat quest. And,
I know.
4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it might be. And hopefully I'll be around for
all of them.
For all of them. And actually tomorrow morning, I'm going with my buddy John Orlando. We're going out to the scene of your first, where you capped off your first championship, out to Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
And so we'll be out there for Tony Orlando's last touring show. But we'll see you soon on the court.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been Both Sides of the Camera. For Nikki Fargas, I'm Matt Kelly. We'll see you next time.